Kunja Bihari. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivrajacharya Ashtottada Siddha Sri Srimad His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivrajacharya Ashtottada Siddha Sri Srimad Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Prem se Gaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai. Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Shyama Kund Radha Kund Giri Govardhan Ki Jai. Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai. Navadip Mayapur Dham Ki Jai. Jagannath Puri Dham Ki Jai. Bhakti Devi Ki Jai. Tulasi Devi Ki Jai. Yamuna Mai Ki Jai. Ganga Mai Ki Jai. Samaveta Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai. Taking over the world with Srila Prabhupada's transcendental book distribution. Ki Jai. Gaura Premanande, Hari Hari Bol. All glories to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Shmate Bhakti Vikasa Swami Namne. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 2, Chapter 10, titled Bhagavatam is the Answer to All Questions, Text 25. Gatim Jigishataha Pado Ruruhate Abhikamikam Padbhyam Yajna Svayam Havyam Karmabhihi Kriyate Nribhihi Gatim Jigishata Pado Gatim Jigishata Pado Gatim Jigishata Pado Ruruhate Bikamikam Ruruhate Bikamikam Ruruhate Bikamikam Padbhyam Yajna Swayam Havyam Padbhyam Yajna Swayam Havyam Padbhyam Yajna Swayam Havyam Karma vikriyate nribihi. Karma vikriyate nribihi. Karma vikriyate nribihi. Gatim jigishata padho. Ruruhate bhikamikam. Padbhyam yaknyasvayam havyam. Karma vikriyate nribihi. Gatim jigishata pado. Ruruhate bhikamikam. Padbhyam yaknyasvayam havyam. Karma vikriyate nribihi. Gatim jigishata pado. Ruruhate bhikamikam. Padbhyam yaknyasvayam havyam. Karma vikriyate nribihi.
Gatim jigisata padho. Gatim jigisata padho. Ruruhate bhikamikam. Ruruhate bhikamikam. Adhyam yajna swayam hayam. Adhyam yajna swayam hayam. Karma bhikriyate nirbihi. Karma bhikriyate nirbihi. Gatim jigisata Gatim jigishata pado.
Gatim jigishata pado.
Ruruhate bhikamikam. Ruruhate bhikamikam. Padbhyam yajnasvayam havyam. Padbhyam yajnasvayam havyam. Karma bhikriyate nirbihi.
Karma vikriyate nirbihi. Matajis. Gatim jigishata pado. Ruruhate bhikamikam.
Padbhyam yajnasvayam havyam. Karma vikriyate nirbihi. Gatim jigishata pado. Ruruhate bhikamikam. Padbhyam yajnasvayam havyam. Karma vikriyate nirbihi. Gatim jigishata pado. Ruruhate bhikamikam. Padbhyam yajnasvayam havyam. Karma bhikriyate nirbihi.
Gatim, movement. Jigishitaha, so desiring. Pado, the legs. Ruruhate, being manifested. Abhikamikam, purposeful. Padbhyam, from the legs. Yajnaha, Lord Vishnu. Swayam, personally himself. Havyam, the duties. Karma bihi, by one's occupational duty. Kriyate, caused to be done. Nribihi, by different human beings. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Thereupon, because of his desiring to control movement, his legs became manifested, and from the legs the controlling deity named Vishnu was generated. By his personal supervision of this act, all varieties of human being are busily engaged in dutiful occupational sacrifice. Purport. Every human being is engaged in his particular occupational duty, and such activities are visible as men go hither and thither. This is very prominently visible in big cities of the world. People are going all over the cities with great concern from one place to another. This movement is not limited only to the cities, but is also visible outside the cities from one place to another, or from one city to another, by different means of vehicles. Men are moving by cars and rails on the roads, by subways within the earth, and by planes in the sky for the purpose of business success. But in all these movements, the real purpose is to earn wealth for comfortable life. For this comfortable life, the scientist is engaged, the artist is engaged, the engineer is engaged, the technician is engaged, all in different branches of human activity. But they do not know how to make the activities purposeful to fulfill the mission of human life. Because they do not know this secret, all their activities are targeted toward the goal of sense gratification without control, and therefore by all this business they are unknowingly entering into the deep regions of darkness. Because they have been captivated by the external energy of the Supreme Lord, they have completely forgotten the Supreme Lord Vishnu, and thus they have taken it for granted that this life, as presently manifested under the conditions of material nature, is all in all for enjoying the highest amount of sense gratification. But such a wrong conception of life cannot give anyone the desired peace of mind, and thus, in spite of all advancement in knowledge by use of resources of nature, no one is happy in this material civilization. The secret is that at every step they should try to execute sacrifices toward the path of world peace. The Bhagavad Gita, chapter 18, text 45 and 46, also advises the same secret in the following verses. Sve sve karmanya abrita samsiddhim labate naraha swakarma nirata siddhim yata vindanti taktrinu yata pravrittir bhutanam yena sarvam idam tatam swakarmana tam abhyarchya siddhim vindati manavaha. The Lord said to Arjuna, "Just hear from me how one can attain the highest perfection in life simply by discharging his specified occupational duty. Man can attain the highest perfection of life by worshipping the Supreme Lord and by performing sacrifice for the sake of the Supreme Lord Vishnu, who is all-pervading, and by whose control every living being acquires his desired facilities, according to his personal propensity. There's no harm in having different propensities in life, because every human being is proportionately independent to chalk out the plan of his life by different occupations. But one should make it a point in his life to know perfectly well that he is not independent absolutely. One is certainly under the control of the Supreme Lord, and under different agencies. Knowing this, one should make it a point that by his work and the result of his labor he serves the Supreme Lord as prescribed by the authorities expert in the transcendental loving service of the Supreme Lord Vishnu. For performing such occupational duties of life, the leg is the most important instrument of the body, because without the help of the legs, one cannot move from one place to another, and therefore the Lord has special control over the legs of all human beings, which are meant for performing yagyas. Om Ajnana Timirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Unmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Mano Bhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Svayam Rupa Karamahyam Dadati Svapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Utaf Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavams Cha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakan Vitams Cha. Hey Krishna Karuna Sindho Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpa Tarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubi Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Shri Mate Bhaktivikasa Swaminiti Namane Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Shri Mate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namane Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschata Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Yadidasya sime kaman varm sajavasha. Kamanan miri samaham. Bhavitatunimam. Yasya devi prabhaktir yata tevitsakaro. Tasya te katitar yata. Prakashante mahatmanaha. Vagisha yasya vadane lakshmi yasya chavaksasi. Yasyaste hriday samvit tam nasimham maham bhaje. Gatim jigi shataf pado ruruhate bikamikam padbhyam yajna swayam havyam karma bikriyate nirbihi. Thereupon, because of his desiring to control movement, his legs became manifested, and from the legs the controlling deity named Vishnu was generated. By his personal supervision of this act, all varieties of human being are busily engaged in dutiful occupational sacrifice. So, we've been discussing these different senses and how they came about. We talked about the eyes, we talked about the smell, we talked about the hands yesterday, and then we talked about, a couple days ago, we talked about these physical characteristics of touch, like softness, hardness, warmth, cold, lightness, etc. And now we've come to speaking about legs. And so the other verses that are discussing this, you might have noticed that different demigods came into existence to facilitate these things. And then here, in this verse, Vishnu himself has become the supervisor over the senses, or this instrument of the legs, indicating how important they are. They're very important assets for us, because without legs, we're not able to engage in all the work that we engage in. And so, Prabhupada is beginning the purport speaking about how every human being is engaged in, a certain occupational duty and activity. And the fact is that this material world nowadays, everybody's busily going here and there, traveling all over the world in various vehicles and such, very busily engaged in all kinds of things to increase their sense gratification. This made me actually remember, I saw this one time a while ago, but there's this, I guess it's like a video, or it's just like a graphic that's showing the movement of planes across the world in one day. So like, you just see like the world is empty, you see the world map, it's empty, and then you see like these lines and these planes moving, and if you look it up, it's really insane. Like, it's so many more planes than you would imagine. It's like thousands of them, and they're completely filling up like the whole globe. So there's so much activity just, with that alone. And then what to speak of cars, in the 60s, I guess it was, they built the highway system, this interstate system, because they realized that they needed interstate commerce and interstate transit. So now we have these huge roads with like 7 lanes, in the cities that, cars are just constantly flowing through, and it's just like an ocean of cars. Prabhuji we were riding with him the other day, and he's like, wow, so many cars, And I mean, in India, I'm sure there's a lot of cars too, but here I guess there's a lot as well. So it's really, mind-blowing when you see how much endeavor has been put into allowing humans to go from here to there and engage in all kinds of ultimately useless work that's not leading to anything, just leading to the cycle of birth and death. But people are busily engaged in this, thinking that they're going to get some sort of happiness, some sort of satisfaction, some sort of ultimately sense gratification out of it, and they think that that is the key to happiness in life, is increasing their sense gratification. Prabhupada's saying here, for this comfortable life, the scientist is engaged, the artist is engaged, the engineer is engaged, the technician is engaged, all in different branches of human activity. So for the purpose of increasing their sense gratification and getting a comfortable life. So no matter what people are engaged in, that's ultimately their goal, is this a level of happiness, and their conception of happiness is that, well, the more my senses are gratified, the more comfortable I am in life, the more happy I will ultimately be. But this is very obviously disproven just by looking at some basic statistics. If you just look up it's common knowledge nowadays. You don't even have to really look anything up. Pretty much everyone knows that mental health is way down from where it used to be. There's all these problems cancer is way more prominent than it was before, 50, 100 years ago. This idea of depression, anxiety, all these things, suicide, that are so common. Nowadays were almost unheard of, 100 years ago or whatever. It happened, but it's so common nowadays. Now drug addiction, overdose, all these kinds of things. There's new drugs being invented that are killing people so much more. This fentanyl is like a huge problem. People are getting addicted to that. And why are they doing all these things? I mean, if you look at the facts, like if comfort is the key, we have a much more comfortable situation than we ever did, just at least in terms of like gratifying our senses and having just material comforts. We have, like I was mentioning, planes that can go anywhere. We can travel to any part of the world we want. We can go on a big cruise ship and it has all the facilities we want. We can eat all the most, opulent foods from all over the world getting shipped, everywhere. And so we can go to the grocery store and have a plethora of foods available that a king 500 years ago would have been, his diet, his meals would not be anything in comparison to what we can get at a local grocery store. We have air conditioning, we have so many nice things, so many things that increase our sense gratification that make us very comfortable. But why are we not happy? Why are we not fulfilled? What is happening here? Ultimately, the point that's being made here is that all of our work, all of our actions must be directed in the proper way. And the proper way is to engage in sacrifice, yajna, for the satisfaction of Vishnu, of Krishna. These legs are meant for working for Krishna, not for our own sense gratification. But, everybody's out there just, again, thinking that this sense gratification is the ultimate means and not inquiring, not thinking about anything higher than how can I get some more money to get some more sense gratification. Even, I was thinking about this when I was preparing for this, that people think that, okay, well, the goal of at least like Western society is to get a bunch of money and then you can live very opulently. Like you can have a very nice house, you can go on nice vacations all the time, whatever, maybe you have like a personal chef or something like that. You just have all these really nice things, but when you look at the facts, only maybe 0.1% of people actually have that kind of situation, and everyone else is simply chasing that situation. But when you really look at it, what most people's life is like, it's even more miserable than even one that has a level of sense gratification, because most people are just working paycheck to paycheck. I used to do that. I know what it's like. Like you have an apartment that's, a couple thousand a month, and then you make enough to pay for that rent, and then you have enough to pay for your car payment and your car insurance and your whatever health insurance and your homeowner's insurance, all these things, have all these bills, and they add up to just like under what you make. So basically you have enough just to get by and like buy your food and buy your housing and pay for your car and everything. But you're on this wheel. You're not making any progress in life. So you don't even have the chance to actually like go on a vacation or like, go out to have a nice meal or whatever it is, do whatever kind of sense gratification you want. You don't even have that opportunity. So like for most people, they don't even get to that level of this. I mean, again, it's all false happiness, any level of sense gratification. It's not actually happiness, but they can't even get to that level of actually gratifying their senses in the way that they desire. So it's really a really miserable situation. And then even if you have a so-called good job, like there's so many, we see it's very common for a lot of people from India tend to be very intelligent in terms of this material life, and they have all these schools, IIT in India, there's all these different campuses. And so they go study there, they work really, really hard throughout school, and then they get into IIT. And it's really competitive, because there's 1.4 billion people there, only so many spots in the computer science department at IIT. So they work really hard, they get into that. They have to be like the top 0.1% or something like that, even more, to get into there. They get there, and then they work really hard in college. They get good grades, they study, and then finally they graduate and they come to America, where it's this promise of a happy life, much better than in India. So they come here, and then we had the experience of someone that used to come here, that he was speaking of that when he grew up in India, okay, like maybe materially there's not so many comforts and all this thing, but his mom would always cook for him really nice meals all the time. Like every meal he had was really nice, like like we take here, like just very fresh preparations, cooked with love, and there's a lot of variety and all these things. Healthy, And then when he came to America, he went through this whole process of going to IIT, getting a computer science job, moving to America. He came and worked at Amazon. And when he came to America, he was all alone. He wasn't married or anything, and he didn't have his family with him anymore. So what did he eat? He ate the same thing every day, and it was 2 pieces of bread and a piece of cheese, just not even a grilled cheese. Just he would take a slice of cheese from just whatever, a Kraft single, and put 2 pieces of white bread, and then he would eat that every single day for lunch. And it's he went from eating such nice, food cooked with love to that. So where's the opulence that you were looking for in America? So this is it's a big trick, actually. It's all a big trick. So even if you get this good job, you make good money, you come here, you have a really nice apartment, whatever, you're not hurting for money, you're not living paycheck to paycheck, you can go on a nice vacation. What's the point of it all ultimately? It all leads to nothing. It all leads to this emptiness. You spend your whole life going through this process, and then you have nothing to show for it at the end. Another thing that I wanted to bring up is that I've noticed just before I joined, I used to be into the tech industry, and I used to go on Twitter and look at all these people, what these entrepreneurs would say, and I knew of the Bhagavad Gita at the time, so I noticed sometimes these billionaires like to quote Bhagavad Gita, or they like to say, "Oh, I'm reading Bhagavad Gita," and it's like a flex almost, for them. In Silicon Valley, yeah, I'm really intelligent, I'm reading the Bhagavad Gita. So the one that I remember them quoting was this Bhagavad Gita 247. You can pull this up. This is their favorite one to quote. Of course, they don't quote Sarvadharman Pritiyajamam and Kamsharanam Vraj or anything like that. Don't surrender to Krishna. They don't talk about anything about Krishna. They don't mention anything about God or anything like that. But they have this Karmani eva dikaraste ma phaleshu karachana ma karma phalahetur bhur ma te sangos tvakar mani. You have a right to perform your prescribed duty, but you are not entitled to the fruits of action. Never consider yourself the cause of the results of your activities, and never be attached to not doing your duty. So they like to just quote these, things and act all very philosophical and intelligent. But they don't talk about who actually has the right to the results of those actions, and who is the proper one to give the fruits of their actions to. They say, "Oh, don't be attached to them." This idea of Stoicism is very prevalent. That the Stoic philosophers, these Greek philosophers, have this idea that whatever happens, you shouldn't react. If your son dies or something like that, just don't have any reaction. Be completely emotionless about it. And that's the best way to just go forward in life, because we don't know what's going to happen. Bad things will happen to us inevitably, and the only way, to optimize your happiness or whatever is just to not have any reaction. Don't react to anything that makes you feel happy, anything that increases your sense of gratification, and don't react to anything that decreases it. But they don't have this positive impetus that we have in Krishna consciousness of worshiping Krishna and replacing our material desires with spiritual desires, replacing our material relationships with spiritual relationships, centering our lives around the Supreme Person that brings ultimate satisfaction to us. We're these leaves on a tree, and by coming to Krishna consciousness and engaging in this process, we are watering the root of the tree. We're no longer trying to water our individual leaves, which leads to nothing. The water simply falls off and becomes useless, goes to waste. But we're going straight to the root, watering the root, and therefore becoming nourished through this process. So yeah, the point being made here too is that the legs are engaged in so much work. Everyone has to do something. It's not that we can stop all of our activities and engage in no work. This makes no sense at all. What is this from the Bhagavad Gita? That not he who lights no fire and performs no duty or whatever. Do you know what that is? Anyways, maybe you could look that up, Nelly. He who lights no fire. There's that quote. That one who's engaged, basically, the purport is that one who's engaged in activity for Krishna is more dear than one who lights no fire and performs no duty. So we have to perform something. We have to do some kind of work in life. You got it? Yeah. One who's unattached to the fruits of his work and who works as he is obligated is in the renounced order of life, and he is the true mystic and not he who lights no fire and performs no duty. Exactly. What chapter is that? What text?
6:1.
6:1. Okay. Okay. Sure. Thank you. So yeah, we have to engage in some kind of work, and in order to be a true renunciate, as it's saying here, the person who is actually engaged and is giving the fruits of their work to Krishna is the true renunciate. So all this useless work is happening in the material world. Everybody's so engaged here and there, doing all kinds of things, building so many really amazing things, big, huge buildings, amazing technology, phones and MacBooks and vehicles and Teslas and space rockets and whatever. But it's all actually useless unless it's used in relation to Krishna. This fire of desire that's happening within the hearts of the materialists is never actually satisfied. That's why you see that they're constantly changing everything. They're constantly coming out with new iPhones every single year. And, now there's this VR thing, and now there's, have better vehicles and just more and more, bigger buildings, and they're trying to build some kind of crazy 500-mile long super city or something in Saudi Arabia. They're always coming up with some new idea to increase their sense gratification. But this fire of desire that they want to have this thing, they never actually are satisfied after getting the thing, so they go on to the next thing. And I'm sure we've all experienced that in material life, that we get something we want, but then it feels nice for a moment, and then maybe a few days later, you're wanting the next thing. But the thing is, if we offer these results of our actions to Krishna, we actually do become happy. And we don't have to live this complicated lifestyle getting more and more things. We can live very simply, offer Krishna some fruits, water, flour, and through that we can become purified and obtain real happiness by satisfying Krishna himself. There's also this from the Bhagavad Gita 3:9. If you want to pull that up. Yajñarhat karmano jñarta loko yam karma bandhanaha tadartam karma kaunteya mukta sangha samachara. Work done as a sacrifice for Vishnu has to be performed, otherwise work causes bondage in this material world. Therefore, O son of Kunti, perform your prescribed duties for his satisfaction, and in that way you will always remain free from bondage. So, again, otherwise work causes bondage in this material world. So actually, it's not only that all the work of the materialist is completely useless, it's actually negative. It's actually causing a negative effect on them, not just neutral. It's binding them more and more in the material world. All of these things are going on, and they want to increase their sense gratification, and then this creates anarthas in the heart. It creates karma that has to be played out. And this just binds us more and more to more and more cycles of birth and death in the future. You look at just one life of an American nowadays, and how many cows they eat, how many sinful activities they perform. They are, destined to repeat birth and death for so many lifetimes. It's really inconceivable, actually. But the amazing thing is they hear the holy name one time, and they're guaranteed this human form of life. They'd simply, just if they just appreciate the devotees. Parameshwar Prabhu was saying when he came the other day that he's standing at Mount Rushmore. He's standing there for 5 months out of the year. He sets up a table at the entrance, and there's 10,000 people walking by every day. And even if they simply look at him and appreciate what he's doing, they don't even have to really understand what it is. They don't have to speak to him and get books necessarily. Of course, it's better if they do. But if they simply look at him and say, well, he seems like a nice person, or they just appreciate him for what he's doing, they get guaranteed a human form of life in the next birth. So this is a very powerful process, and that's why it's so important for us to be out there in public doing these things. I was thinking that the other day that, we through the winter, there was a lot of colder days, rainy days and such, and so we weren't able to go on Harinam so much. And I was really missing it, and then when we finally got to go out again last week, and we had a nice Maha Harinam, you could say. It wasn't quite as big as sometimes we do, but there was about 5 of us out there. It was really, really blissful because, I was just thinking of, all these people are getting benefit, and, it's just really amazing that some days you might not feel like going out or whatever. You have, I have so many services I have to do here. I have to, do all these different things, and it's a really full day. I don't know if I have time to go out today. I'll just do kirtan in the temple. But no, it's much more, it's much better. It's very important. It's the topmost importance to go out and perform this Sankirtan Yagya, perform the holy the chanting of the holy names in public, and the distribution of Krishna conscious literature to everyone, anyone and everyone, because this is for their ultimate benefit. And it also purifies us. It also makes us very satisfied. The other day, a couple of months ago, I guess, I went out on Harinam with Chandanacharya Prabhu and Mahotsa Prabhu. And after that, Mahotsa Prabhu said, and it really stuck with me, he said, it feels really good to perform the yagya. It feels it feels great to perform the yagya. And it's true, again, there was a lot of time that we weren't able to go out this winter, and it definitely leaves you wanting it. It leaves a desire in the heart that I want to go out. I want to get back out there. And now most of the devotees are traveling around on traveling Sankirtan, and so there's only a few of us here at the temple. And I'm really dang, I really want to get out there. I'm not envious, but I guess I am envious. But I'm just I'm man, that they're having so much fun out there. There are all these pictures. It's so blissful seeing all these college students getting books, people at the Comic-Cons. So many pictures, so many saptas and Bhagavatams being distributed. Bhakta Mason distributed 2 Bhagavatam sets. It's so amazing. So I really wanted to, I just have this desire to go out and be part of it. But even just, being able to facilitate it in some way, I'm trying to make the monthly newsletter to show other devotees around the world what we're doing, what these amazing Sankirtan devotees are doing out there, to glorify them. And then I'm making this yearly report to show that as well. So even I'm doing some tiny little part, but it's still satisfying because I get to be some part of this movement, even if it's completely insignificant. Just being plugged into this movement is very blissful, and it's the perfection of our life. So we should engage in these kinds of work. This is the point being made, that we shouldn't be attracted to the completely useless work that the karmis engage in, the work that simply binds them to this material world, but we should be attracted to performing the Sankirtan Yagya. We should be attracted to worshipping Lord Chaitanya in the form of the Sankirtan Yagya. This is the way to worship Lord Chaitanya in this day and age, is to go out and spread the holy name, the congregational chanting of the holy names, and follow the order of Srila Prabhupada. This is what pleased him the most, is distributing Krishna conscious literature, distributing these books to anyone and everyone that will take them. There's this another shloka, 529, Bhoktaram Yagya Tapasam Sarvaloka Maheshwaram Suhridam Sarvabhutanam Gyatmamam Shantim Richati. This is known as the peace formula. Bhoktaram Yagya Tapasam. So Krishna is the beneficiary of all yagyas and tapasya, all sacrifices and austerities. So he's the one that's the beneficiary of it. It's all these, again, all the karmis are engaged in yagyas and tapasyas in all these different ways. They're sacrificing their time, their sanity a lot of the time, and they're engaging in all sorts of austerities, going here and there, as they're saying, working 12 hours a day, eating just a cheese sandwich, not even a grilled cheese, engaging in all these horrible things that are just, miserable, and they're getting no benefit from it because they're doing it for their own sense gratification. But Krishna is saying here that he's the beneficiary of all these sacrifices and austerities. So we should act with that consciousness in mind that everything we're doing is for Krishna's satisfaction and for, he's the beneficiary. He's the one that's receiving all of the fruits from that. And then Sarva Loka Maheshwaram, that he's the supreme controller of all planets, all lokas. And then Suhridam Sarva Bhutanam, that he is the benefactor of all living entities. He is the dearmost friend, the benefactor. He's the one taking care of all of us. All of the things that we have are actually coming from him. I was thinking about, just milk, just the example of milk for some reason this morning. And how amazing it is that the cow is designed in such a way that on one side, grass goes in, which is completely useless to humans. I mean, we go out and we cut the grass. We want to get rid of it. We just are always there's no use for it. It's actually kind of a, annoyance. It grows and then we have to cut it. So it's okay, get it out of here. But a cow simply goes around and just eats that, and out of it comes milk, and then also, the cow dung and urine are also have medicinal benefits and other benefits as well, purifying benefits. But the milk is so amazing. We can use it for making yogurt and making sweets and doing all the different kinds of preparations to offer to Krishna. And just the milk itself alone, we can offer that to Krishna and drink that like we do every night. And it's very nectarian. It's very good. It nourishes the finer brain tissues, and it's really an incredible thing that the cow is such a machine, you could say, such a creation by Krishna. I was thinking of how many Nobel Prizes or just awards and accolades someone would get if they created such a machine. They say, look, you can put in grass and then you get milk out of this. It would be really an amazing thing if someone did that, if some scientist did that. But we have it right there in the cow, in the form of the cow. So it's really amazing, that he's our ultimate benefactor, Krishna. He's designed, everything that we can, again, Avadhu Chandra Prabhu is doing all these amazing things in the garden. He's just, you plant some seeds and you nourish the seed and you water it and you put the fertilizer and everything like that. And out of the ground sprouts all these amazing things, vegetables and fruits and such. So it's really an amazing thing. You take a little seed and you can get, a whole tree that goes on for years and years and years, producing fruit every single year. So it's really just mind-blowing. All of these things, again, if any kind of scientist could come up with anything like that, they would be celebrated as one of the most genius people of all time. But it's right there under our noses, and almost nobody actually appreciates it. Again, the scientists are simply looking for how do we make the newest technology. Most of the time, actually, the technology they create is more and more advanced forms of weaponry. If you look at the military, they always have more advanced technology than the rest of society. They're always one step ahead, because all the money is actually being funded into how to advance the military and how to make the weapons more and more technologically advanced. So the materialists are focused on how to use their work, their activities of work to be better at killing others. And, Krishna's creation, all these things are for our ultimate benefit. And, he's the benefactor of all living entities. He's within our heart, directing all of our wanderings in this material world. And ultimately leading us back to him through making us frustrated with this material world. And of course, he does it in such a way that he's not forcing us. We have free will, and we can actually act according to our own desires. But he designs it in such a way that there is, as Mahotsa Prabhu was saying, that this material world is perfectly imperfect. It's designed in such a perfectly imperfect way that we will reach this point of frustration and ultimately turn to him. There's so many, there's definitely other examples of, just from the Bhagavad Gita alone, of how one should properly engage their work, this yat karoshi yadasnasi, yad joshi dadasi yat tapasyasi konteya, tat kurushva manarpanam, right? Yeah. And what is that? 9:27, I think. Maybe you can pull that up. Yeah, whatever you do, whatever you eat, whatever you offer or give away, and whatever austerities you perform, do that, O son of Kunti, as an offering to me. So again, it's just being emphasized over and over again that just anything you do, just do it for Krishna, and this is how to actually find real satisfaction, real happiness in life. If you're a rich man, you should take what Krishna has given you, because again, as we were just saying, everything actually belongs to Krishna. None of it is actually ours. So if your situation has been is such that you have a lot of wealth, you should naturally want to give that to Krishna, especially if you're a devotee. There's so many devotees that we meet, and speaking of Mahotsav Prabhu about this a little bit, but it's actually surprising that so many of the times, the karmis that we meet at Patel Brother, anywhere, just especially Indians in particular, they're generally they're pious or whatever, but they're not devotees by any means. At least they're not following or anything like that. They're not practicing 4 regs and chanting 16 rounds or anything like that. But they have some sentiment for Krishna in their heart. They have some just nice feelings towards the devotees and such like that. And so many of the times, they can be convinced to give huge donations. I've seen him do it so many times. Pretty much every day he goes out, I see him do this. It's like magic. I don't know how he does it, but he somehow gets huge donations all the time from just very sweet, pious Indian people that, are just, wanting to help out. And they have a lot of wealth. Whereas, so many of the times that actual devotees that are chanting, 16 rounds, following, and they understand the importance of book distribution. They understand Prabhupada emphasized it, and they see what we're doing here. We're dedicating our lives to book distribution. Going through all these. Every moment of our life is centered around how can we distribute more books, and so much of the time they are the biggest oxes. It's crazy. They won't give any money. It's just insane. And I mean, okay, not to completely bash them. Maybe they're giving to a local temple where they're from, or they probably are giving in some way. But many of them probably aren't as well. And that they're saying that, I need to give all my earnings to my family in India, and that's okay. You can give them some money, but this Rupa Goswami, I believe, that said that you should give 50%. And that he sets that example, that he made a bunch of, he had a bunch of wealth from his career as a diplomat or something like that. I'm not sure exactly the term that'd be used, but he worked for the government. Magistrate, yeah, for the Muslim government. Oh, okay. That was Bhaktivinoda Thakur. Yeah. He was an advisor to Sanatana Goswami. Anyway. No, I think it's it might have been Sanatana Goswami when he was in prison, and then he bribed the jail keeper, right, to get out. Anyways, it was one of them. I'm not sure the details. Someone can correct me on that. But there's a large sum of money, right? And as soon as he retired, I guess, from that, he immediately gave 50% away to proliferate the Krishna consciousness movement, and then 25% he gave to his family for them to sustain themselves, and 25% he kept for emergencies, for his own personal emergencies or whatever. So this example has been set, and it is, seems pretty severe maybe, but if you're a wealthy person, especially in America, and I was saying, that if you have a good job, so to speak, and you're making, if you look up these salaries, it's really mind-blowing. Someone that works for just a normal tech company and just as a software engineer, they might start off at $100K, but then after 5-10 years, they're making $300-400K every single year. And I mean, some cities that's okay, middle class, but most places in America you're pretty wealthy at that point, and you have a lot of disposable income. And so the idea of giving like 10,000 to a temple is like nothing for you. Like you make that like in a few days or whatever. So despite all of that, they still won't give, So it's like really shocking actually. It's like, why are you not seeing the value and why are you not giving more? Anyways, I won't complain about that too much, but that's there. That's a situation that's happening and something I noticed. So the thing is, if you are wealthy, you should definitely be giving to the Krishna consciousness movement, especially if you're a devotee. This is, this is how you engage your work in spreading Krishna consciousness. You might not be able to personally go and distribute books every single day like that. You have all these duties and household duties and such. But if you've been given the lucky situation of having a lot of wealth through the mercy of Krishna, that Krishna has given you this situation, you recognize that actually this wealth belongs to Krishna, and I'm just, I don't actually own it, then you should be eager to give that out and spread the Krishna consciousness movement. Back to the milk analogy I was thinking about as well, that if you start a milk company, it's this idea that we're actually just thieves, like you're taking this product that actually is Krishna's because he designed the cow to take grass and turn it into milk, and you're just taking that, acting like it's yours and you own it, you created it or something like that, and you sell it for a profit, and then they slaughter the cows. It's just horrible. So one should recognize that all of these things, all of the things that the materialist is creating and selling is actually, it all belongs to Krishna, and the devotee should be eager to give that wealth away. And just back to, the idea of engaging in Sankirtan, I was just thinking about this more, that it's a very, simple process, very blissful. And you look at the example of all these devotees that have been doing it their whole lives. Like you see Prabhupada Prabhu is a good example, and then Mother Kamalini and Parameshwar Prabhu. These are just three examples that came to my mind that we've gotten the fortune to associate with. And they're completely their consciousness is so amazing, and just being around them, you can feel like this person is so different than anybody I've ever met before. You can feel a complete, difference in who they are compared to just a random person on the street. And you see that this book distribution that Prabhupada has given us isn't just some mundane work. It's not just like what the karmis are doing out there. This is the perfection of work. This is the way to become very dear to Lord Chaitanya, is to distribute this literature that he instructed Rupa Goswami and Sanatana Goswami, I believe, to write books and to create this literature. And of course, the idea is that, spread this to every town and village. And so now we're just, being instruments for that movement. As it was said a few days ago, that Lord Chaitanya's pastimes are still going on. They're still ongoing. And we get to be instruments in that. Even though it may be very insignificant, we get to do some small role in helping this movement spread. And so these devotees have been doing it their whole life. They're extremely blissed out, and they're just, you can see that this process works, and that this is the topmost transcendental activity we can engage in. This is the perfection of work, like I said. This is the Sankirtan Yagya. This is the very simple Yagya. It's so simple. We just chant this mantra, and we just go out on the streets and talk to everybody we meet. We just go out and we chant and dance on the street. And it's a very simple process, very, very blissful. Much more simple than all the complicated lives of even the karmis, that they're engaged in all these things. They have, if you run a business these days, you have so many different headaches and this and that. You have to source your materials, and you have to deal with clients, and you have to deal with your employees and your payroll and your taxes and this and that. And I've been through all that, and it's a very stressful situation. This is also can be stressful. We have to figure out, okay, we have 5 vans and 10 devotees are going out for all these different events, and where are they going to go and how are they going to meet back up and switch off, and who's going to go out next. And it's a constant logistical, not headache, but logistical problem to solve. So that's constantly happening. But it's all very blissful because it's in the service of Krishna, it's in the service of Lord Chaitanya, in the service of Srila Prabhupada, and it's in order to spread these books to every conditioned soul, and completely purify this whole planet that we're on. So another point that I wanted to make before I end was that this 1845 to 46 is being spoken of here in the purport, that the Lord said to Arjuna, "Just hear from me how one can attain the highest perfection in life simply by discharging his specified occupational duty. Man can attain the highest perfection of life by worshipping the Supreme Lord and by performing sacrifice for the sake of the Supreme Lord Vishnu, who is all-pervading and by whose control every living being acquires his desired facilities according to his personal propensity." That, obviously the point is, it's very simple that Arjuna is the perfect example of someone who, at the beginning of the Bhagavad Gita, he was saying that he wanted to do what he wanted to do. He wanted to act and do work in a way that was pleasing to him. And then through surrender to Krishna, he comes to the conclusion at the end that actually I'll do what you want me to do, Krishna. And I'll perform this austerity, this sacrifice for you. And what he was doing was so much more difficult, you could say, or so much more of a challenge than it is for us to. We just have to go out on the streets and meet some people and give them books. And of course it's an austerity so many of the times. We're living in austere conditions and people are very nasty to us sometimes. But, it's nothing compared to having to go kill your own family and engage in this very brutal war that you have no desire to do. So he understood the desire of Krishna and acted accordingly, and we should do the same. Understand that even if we don't feel like going out on books, even if we don't feel like going on Harinam, this is Krishna's desire. He wants everyone to hear the holy name and read these books, take these books, and understand him. And by doing this, we can become very dear to Krishna. And ultimately, Prabhupada said, for these devotees, like I'm mentioning, like Brigupati Prabhu, Parameshwar Prabhu, and Kamalini Mataji, and so many others that have distributed books their whole life, that Prabhupada promised actually to his disciples that if you engage in this Sankirtan Yagya, if you engage in this book distribution for your whole life, Lord Chaitanya will personally come and take you back to Godhead. And Krishna is obliged to his pure devotees to make sure that their word is true. So even if somehow that wasn't the case before Prabhupada said it, it definitely is the case now. So because Krishna is not going to make what Prabhupada said not true. So we can very easily perfect our life if we just have the desire and have the conviction to go through with this and continue on in some way, engaging in this Sankirtan Yaga every day for the rest of our life. Even if it means that we go to the farm, that's still a form of preaching as well. And we've heard that, I'm sure you experienced it, was it at Kurmagram that they have so many visitors and they're doing so many books there just because people visit. Yes, in the middle of nowhere, people come and they take books because they're visiting. And, we experience that here too, that anytime someone comes, like, I try to just give them some books, like in the Tuesday program, Abhimanyu gave some guy books. If they come here, they're it's pretty much easy to distribute books to them. So if we build an amazing farm community and it becomes a place where people want to come visit, just because it's like they hear about this place, wow, what is this? Like they're living simply, this very spiritual lifestyle, and it's just it's a cultural experience a lot of time. For the karmis, they might want to just see what it's like. It's just they're not maybe necessarily ready to go join, but they want to go see. So you build something really amazing, and then people will come, and it'll become not a tourist attraction, but that I'll use that for lack of a better term, and people will come see, and they'll take books in that way. And this simply living on the farm in a simple way and growing your own food and all this is its own form of preaching as well. And this is the other half of Prabhupada's movement. So it's not that that's not engaging in this Sankirtan movement. So as long as we just stick to the process and just stick to Prabhupada's instructions, we can perfect our life. The last thing I was going to say is that there's no harm in having different propensities in life because every human being is proportionally independent to chalk out the plan of his life by different occupations. But one should make it the point to know perfectly well that he is not independent absolutely. So, again, Prabhupada's kind of stressing what I was just mentioning, that people have different propensities in life, and there's no harm in that. But we can use whatever propensities we do have in the service of Krishna, and we can use whatever propensities we have in the furthering of the Sankirtan movement and the participation in this Sankirtan Yagya in some way or the other. If anyone, I'll end my class here. If anyone has questions or comments, looks like Mahotsa Prabhu. You're going to call him?
Ali Krishna Prabhu.
Yeah.
We do have in the service of Krishna. We can use whatever propensities we have in the
Hare Krishna.
furthering of the Sankirtan movement and the participation in the Sankirtan Yagya.
Should I call him here?
Tell them.
Mahotsaha Prabhu.
Hare Krishna,
Yeah.
Krishna Prabhu.
Yes, Prabhu, go ahead.
Please accept my humble obeisances, all worship Prabhupada.
Hare Krishna.
So, firstly, I'd like to congratulate the tech team for saying that Ali Krishna Prabhu looks like Kalki Prabhu. It's very amazing. The title of today's lecture is really amazing. 21024 by Kalki Prabhu. So that's amazing. And I would also like to say, Ali Krishna Prabhu, that the futility of material life. So many people are able to actually see it these days. And if we don't get our farms together now, then someone else will do it. Mukundada Prabhu always says this, that we have the best philosophy. We have the best. Prabhupada gave us the best direction. Prabhupada gave the best of everything. And if we are not going to be the first ones to spearhead this, some other karmis are going to come and do it, and it's going to be some other bogus nonsense. So before the karmis do it, we should do it. We really should do it. And Bhakti Vikas Maharaj, he says that some people have the opinion that first you should have manpower, then you should have the farm. But he said, but my opinion is different. Because by having the farm, you'll have many people come. If you do what Prabhupada is saying. So I really like the point you're making, that even the farms are meant for preaching. They're meant for preaching. And it gives life. It gives life to devotees actually. When you're preaching, if you're doing something and it's not meant for preaching, then you're actually completely lost the point. You're making this point about how sometimes devotees can be the biggest oxes on the planet. More oxier than I remember Jacob and myself were shooting books on the streets of Tampa. And there's this one Mataji, she was a broke black Mataji. She's like, I got $2. I can give you $1. And then, we were trying to Jacob said, why don't you just give $2? It's like, no, I got to keep $1. I'm going to give you another $1. She was literally giving 50% of what she had.
Wow.
But these devotees sometimes, we ask, many times I give class, I'm like, that's why sometimes I'm not invited to speak again. But, sometimes, I ask them, okay, all of you are yes, all Rupanuga is very nice. So, how many of you are sacrificing 50% of what you make for Krishna service? Anyone want to show their hands? No. 40%? No. 30%? 10%? 5%? Then the hands start going up. So, 5% for Krishna and 95% for me. So, this kind of lack of sacrifice is really ruining the movement because it's not based on yajna. Because most people think that the Krishna consciousness movement is a religion. But Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur didn't come to start the Gaudiya religion, he came to start the Gaudiya mission. And then to make it even worse, to see how demoniac mentality can get even amongst devotional society. I remember asking a person for Lakshmi, for whatever, for the temple or whatever. This is back in New York actually, when we were just bro, we need monthly donors to help just buy boga. I was the only one distributing books, more or less. There was another person also. And, we were trying to distribute books and trying to maintain the temple. And we were just trying to raise monthly donors. Hey, can you help us out being monthly donors? And one guy's helping us out. And then we started distributing stuff that Rishi says, and he started seeing the pictures. And he said, and then he stopped his monthly donation. I'm like, Prabhuji, why did you stop? Is everything okay? Is it fine? So yeah, my finances are completely fine. But now that I see that you're distributing books, I don't need to give you money anymore. So like you lost the whole plot. You joined Lord Chaitanya's Sankirtan movement to do Sankirtan or at least support Sankirtan. But when someone is doing the Sankirtan Yajna, you don't want to support them because of the sin that they're doing the Sankirtan Yajna. So the whole plot is lost because everyone thinks it's their religion. Everyone thinks it's their religion, and everyone thinks it's not, but it's not a religion. Is Krishna consciousness your religion? No, it's your way, it's your life. It's your way of life. That's why we call ourselves Krishna life. It's your way of life. But so many devotees miss the point by a million yojanas. They miss the point. They completely miss the point. And we are looked at like the Antichrist by some of these people for distributing Prabhupada's books. And why? Because they have a misconception of what is Krishna consciousness. And then on top of that, why do they have this misconception? Because they do not read the books of His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. They don't read his books. And because they don't read his books, they have all these misconceptions. And when you start quoting from these books, they get angry. Why are you quoting from these books? Because these are the books our entire life is based on. But they don't like to hear these things. That's why we are so unpopular. But it's okay. We don't give a fig actually. We are doing what we are doing for the pleasure of the Guru Parampara. That's all. Who cares for the pleasure of fools and rascals? Might as well just please Srila Prabhupada and his faithful followers, and that will be the perfection of our life. Even if we are dying and we had to compromise the message, we should not do it. Maybe we should just stick to the message, and by doing so, it'll be very amazing actually. I was thinking about this, I'll just tell this real quick. Sorry I'm giving such a long comment here. But when I was shooting books in this yoga expo, none of the Madhajis were even trying to hit on me, But then there was one Mataji, she was a little crazy, And then, she was asking me all these weird sexual questions I miss. I'm like, don't ask me these questions, what the hell is the matter with you? It's showing her the books in the middle of showing her the books. She's like, alright, why don't you kiss me? I'm like, are you out of your effing mind? What's wrong with you? And I chastise her, And she's like, okay, you know what, I guess you're a real monk, I'll buy the Bhagavatam. And she bought the Bhagavatam from me. It was the whole time Maya was testing me. She was testing me okay, and imagine if I became completely insane and I actually went for the offer of Maya, I would have lost my caste and I would still be hungry. What would happen to my life? They're so dangerous out there. We're out there, we're literally fighting a war, and devotees don't want to even see it. They don't want to see it. They don't want to support it. Not all of them. We got some of our homies, who look out for us, and we got love for them and they got love for us, and they're the real ones. But others, they'd much rather donate to a big temple somewhere. They'd much rather donate to some charity feeding the poor or some nonsense like that. But they don't want to do the real thing. But we do have some real homies. The real homies are the real ones. And when they show up, they're getting a lot of mercy. I was literally chanting my japa this morning, and I was thinking that I was really praying to Krishna, Krishna, please, shower your mercy on Utsav. You know who Utsav? Utsav is the manager of Alfie's Patel Brothers, I was really praying, Krishna, please, because this person has facilitated so much Sankirtan, and not just him, all these people who are facilitating our Sankirtan. It's really amazing. Even karmis get the point sometimes, but the devotees don't. Anyway, sorry for the long comment, but just wanted to say that.
Yeah.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you. Yeah, that was reminding me too that it almost seems like it's easier for someone that just becomes a devotee and joins here, or even if they just come to the retreat, to give a huge donation than just people that have maybe been devotees for some time and whatever, he was saying that they view it as their religion. Someone that's fresh off the street and just became a devotee, just got into Krishna consciousness, they see what's happening here, and then they have a kind of a untainted, I guess, vision of what this is, and they can see it for what it is, the value of it, and so they're willing to give big donations and give everything they have, even sometimes. So yeah. Anything else from the men?
Prabhu, just a few comments. I was looking into this, and did it work?
Camera.
Oh. Rupa Goswami he had a boat full of gold coins, and he gave this, and Prabhupada was saying, can we imagine how much wealth he actually had? So he gave all that away. I mean, it's hard to conceive. I mean, gold rings, gold earrings now, but a whole boat full of it. So Srila Rupa Goswami gave.
Wasn't there this story of, was it Sanatana Goswami, that when he escaped jail and he was like, was it innkeeper or whatever?
His servant had some coins.
Yeah, like 10
Ishan.
coins, and they were going to kill him over that.
Yeah.
So imagine like a whole
Yeah.
boat. So valuable. Wow.
And you were making this point about, the newsletter you're doing and the other services you're rendering. And we heard, every week we hear from Srila Prabhupada on Saturdays, right?
Mhm.
And this Prabhupada made this amazing point in that lecture we just heard, that one who is worshiping the deity and one who is cleaning the floor, that actually the service is on the absolute platform, and that we shouldn't, in our minds make like just distinguish one's better than the other. So it's just profound when Prabhupada like lays out the philosophy,
Thank you. Anything else from the mid? Nadi? Yeah, it's fine.
Go ahead now.
4 minutes.
I was, what?
Not in the video. Anyways, it's fine.
I was gonna rag on the Grihastas a little bit more too. I was like, just my experience being in India is like, the Grihastas there, oh my, you have to like beg them to stop serving you. They want to serve you in a million different ways, They want to invite the brahmacharis, have you over, feed you prasadam, give you donation. They don't even want you to turn the faucet on, They'll turn everything on for you. Prabhu, I'm so sorry, like, I couldn't serve you better. It was like a stark difference from our experience here, where we feel like a burden. Yeah. It's like, can't find, even going to some temples, like we can't show our face around town or something. It's like it's like pretty embarrassing, pathetic. And it's like, anyways, Prabhu was talking about the farm communities, and so this is a way to weed out the pretenders, because if you're actually serious, some people, like you were saying, by the end of the day, after you make your income, you hardly have anything to give. Yeah. But at least they could give prasadam. But anyways, come to the farms. Every action you engage in on the farms is ultimately like directed for Krishna. And so you have no worry. You're performing service daily. And so this will provide an opportunity for people to actually get serious. I mean, Lord Chaitanya is all about preaching. And it's like you see all of his pictures, he's always singing, dancing, or preaching. So spreading the holy names is part of being an actual devotee of Lord Chaitanya. So anyways, also, I just wanted to ask, we're talking about, like, you mentioned at some point, these people, they see Parameshwar Prabhu and they appreciate him by a book or whatever. They get like a human birth. That was my understanding too, by hearing the holy name even once, like you get a human birth. But then someone brought this point up recently, and then they were saying, oh no, it's actually, you actually have to have the desire to engage in bhakti to get the human form of life at the time of death. And they gave the example of like Bharat Maharaj, how like he was a very exalted devotee, but at the end of his life he made the mistake of becoming attached to something, the deer, and he became a deer, but he got the benediction to remember his progress and everything like that. So I don't know. Do you have any comments? What do you think? I don't.
Well,
I guess it's not so guaranteed. I don't know.
I mean, then would the logic be that like everyone that is a human has like some propensity for bhakti? Like, because then you're saying like, well, he didn't get a human form of life because he didn't have propensity for, but he did have a propensity. Anyways, that's kind of weird. I've never heard it that way. I've always heard that, if you chant the names once, or, I think it's if you chant it once, I've heard that you would get a human form of life. But Parameshwar was saying that, even if they hear it, I don't know what his reference was to that. I don't know if Prabhupada said that, but I'm just going off what he said. But if anyone has any source on that, Chittagirish.
I don't have a source, but this one devotee was telling us about a pastime between some of our bona fide Vaishnava acharyas. I don't remember exactly who it was, but they were definitely bona fide. And it might have been Haridas Thakur, his statement that if you chant the name the holy name even once, then you get liberation.
Yeah,
Then you're considered to be liberated. But you see, with like myself or like some conditioned soul who's chanting Hare Krishna, they may be chanting, but they're still going through all their anarthas, and it doesn't seem like we're liberated. But the right understanding is actually that once you chant the holy names, then Chitragupta, I think is Yamaraj's scribe, that's his name, he like basically receives an order that this person's no longer under his jurisdiction. And once someone chants the holy names, then they're on the path of liberation. And they may be going through their so-called bad karma, but it's actually, if they're chanting, then that suffering serves as an impetus to increase their desire for liberation. So they're like on the path of liberation. And by chanting the holy name even once, then that's like signing the deal that you're on the way home. And it may take many lifetimes, but it's like it's guaranteed that someday you'll be liberated. So then maybe it's like this.
Yeah, I've heard that.
I don't know about that. But I mean, someone could, chant Hare Krishna, but then completely be offensive also, and then they get a lower birth. I think that's possible. I would assume that it means they're eventually going to get the human birth and take the process seriously. That's sort of my speculation, so take it with a grain of salt. But.
Okay. Mataji's anything? Mataji. Yeah.
So you were talking about how like some people's philosophy is just don't feel, like if anything happens, don't feel. And in the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 12, verse 15, it says that it is by the grace of the Lord that he is so practiced that he is not disturbed by any outward disturbance. Actually, because a devotee is always engrossed in Krishna consciousness and engaged in devotional service, such material circumstances cannot move him. So, like, how do you understand that,
Yeah. So my point I was making there is that they neutralize this like feeling of material feeling, but then they don't have any positive impetus. Like they don't have the spiritual feeling, like, there's spiritual emotions and everything like that. Whereas like a devotee can neutralize their material like ups and downs by becoming attached to Krishna, and you have this positive impetus. It's like this analogy of the impersonalist goes like from -1 to 0, but they don't go to +1. But the devotee goes from -1 all the way to +1. So then they don't fall back down to that negative. They just go up. So you replace you don't just neutralize it, but you actually have a positive replacement for it, if that makes sense. Yeah. Okay. Anything else?
And going back, actually, correlating with her question, and then going back to the verse you quoted, Bhagavad Gita 2:47, you have a right to perform your prescribed duty, but you are not entitled to the fruits of your act of. You have a right to perform your prescribed duty, but you are not entitled to the fruits of action. Never consider yourself the cause of the results of your activities, and never be attached to not doing your duty. I was reading a little bit the purport, so I kind of understand what's being said, but I'm having a misconception about the part where it says that never consider yourself the cause of the results of activities, and never be attached to not doing your duty.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just having a little confusion on that.
You just want clarity on that part, you're saying?
Yes, please.
So, never consider yourself the cause of the results of your activities. The idea is that, again, like, Krishna is ultimately the doer. We're not the doer. We're not actually doing these things. We're simply, an instrument for Krishna, and everything belongs to him. So, through action, we're actually, all these senses, as we're going through here in the Bhagavatam, that all the senses are manifest, from Krishna, and they're not actually belonging to us. It's like we have this ability to see, but it was given to us. It wasn't created by us. And so all of these, actions that we're performing are, again, it's like this idea that we're stealing. It's like, the person is taking milk from a cow and then pretending that they created it somehow and then selling it for profit. Whereas, it was made by the cow, and the cow was created by Krishna, and there's this amazing design of taking grass and turning it into milk. And then never be attached to not doing your duty. It's just like, it's talking about in here that Arjuna, he was attached to the idea of not doing his duty, which was to fight. He was attached to this idea of leaving the battlefield and becoming a renunciate. And Krishna is saying that, you shouldn't be in this consciousness. You should be, you have to perform your prescribed duty if you want to be acting dharmically, essentially. So, by being attached to not doing our duty, we're directly going against what we should be doing in our dharma. So, we should be attached to doing our duty and not doing our duty, if that makes sense.
Just so I understand. So, basically, I had it, then I lost it. So basically, when we do our prescribed duty, of course, that is to please Krishna, of course.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And then I guess between like the fruits of your activities and then not doing your duty, that's just where I kind of where I had the misconception. But so I want to say like the fruits of your labor or the fruits of your activities is to still give yourself to Krishna, or of course anything you do, give it to his service. That's the fruit of your actions.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. We go down books and then we distribute books, right?
Okay.
But we're not, the mindset isn't that we're the ones doing these books. We're not just, we're the ones I did so many books today. No, the idea is that, we're, by the mercy of the spiritual master, we're able to engage in this service. And then in the morning, after, we sing, we offer, for the pleasure of their lordships, we say these are the book scores, for your pleasure and for all the devotees as well. But, the idea is that this was done for you, and the fruits of this action is for your pleasure, and we want you to enjoy it, and yeah, so, and then, we're attached to just doing that duty and giving the fruits to Krishna constantly, yeah. Okay. Anything else? Okay. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Panchakalpatarubhyascha.